Good evening, and welcome to Money Matters. My name is Kimon Hatza, and I'm a business attorney and partner at MillCrest Law in Radnor, Pennsylvania. I focus my practice in the areas of technology, life sciences, and healthcare. Tonight, we're continuing our ongoing series on life sciences leaders in the Delaware Valley. Before we get started, I want to remind our viewers that from time to time, financial issues relating to technology, life sciences, or healthcare companies or matters will be discussed on the show. These discussions are not and should not be viewed as financial advice. Moreover, since the show is pre-recorded and shown at a later time, the information may no longer be current. You should always speak with your financial advisor before entering into any financial transaction. I'm happy to have with me this evening my co-host, Charlie Huntington. Charlie's the head of public relations at Life Sciences PA. Life Sciences PA is the voice of advancement for the life sciences industry in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Charlie, thanks for co-hosting.
Sure, Kimon. I wanted to ask you a question. What, by way of recent activity, have you seen over the last 6 months when it comes to life science and biotech and pharma and technology in general?
I was suspicious that you might ask me that question. I've been thinking about that because I think I'm a bit of a broken record of late, when talking about this. But the fact of the matter is, whether it's over the last 6 months or even over the last couple of years, what we've been seeing most of is matters of transactions, companies in the health IT space.
Those are the ones receiving funding.
Yeah, and just activity generally in terms of new clients that we're working with and so forth. And I think that's probably for two reasons. One of which is with the healthcare industry's move to electronic data and legislation that incentivizes developments in that space. I think there are a lot of things that have been coming out, and just a ton of activity. Secondly, from an investment standpoint, for venture capital, life sciences, because of the long runway, I would say, for pharmaceutical, biotech, medical device, from idea to commercialization, sometimes tough for venture capital to get in, particularly, at an early point. They just don't have, it's a little bit riskier. They don't see light at the end of the tunnel. With IT, that runway tends to be a little bit shorter, not always, but by and large it is. And so it's, a venture capitalist, private equity, they might say, okay, I have some sense of when I'm going to get my money out of this deal. And frequently the regulatory overlay that affects pharmaceutical or medical device or what have you doesn't necessarily affect software.
Right.
It may, depending on the use of it, but it doesn't always. And that, I think, makes it a little bit more attractive.
The billion-dollar coin flip with the FDA, right?
Exactly. So I meant to ask you, I know there are a number of things on the horizon at Life Sciences PA, particularly the upcoming dinner. I just wondered if you wanted to mention that too.
That's right. That's right. In March, we have our annual dinner. Typically 1,000 people, 1,000 plus will turn out for that, and it's sort of homecoming for the industry. And as a matter of fact, I remember, when was it, 2 years ago, we actually had dinner with our guest tonight. You and I did. So it's a great spot not only to get to know people who you've met in the past better, but also to make new friends in the industry. So March 9th, Pennsylvania Convention Center downtown, should be a great event. Okay,
great. Well, you mentioned our guest this evening, and a terrific guest it is. And I'd like to bring her out here. But before I do, I just want to tell our viewers that if you have a question that you would like us to answer on a future show, here's how you do it.
You can have your questions answered on Money Matters. Please go to our website, money-matterstv.com. On our homepage, click on the banner on the right that says, Send us your questions. While you're on our website, you can find information about our host and guests, as well as show notes and links about this show and past shows. Money Matters is also available as a podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, so you can listen to Money Matters while you're on the go. That website address, again, is money, M-O-N-E-Y, -matters, M-A-T-T-E-R-S, TV.com.
It's now my great pleasure to introduce our special guest this evening, Dr. Heather Steinman. Dr. Steinman is a Vice President for Business Development and the Executive Director of Technology Transfer at the Wistar Institute. Wistar is a world leader in cancer, immunology, virology, and infectious disease research. Before joining Wistar in 2014, Dr. Steinman spent more than 18 years at well-regarded institutions focusing on technology transfer and the commercialization of early-stage life science discoveries. Immediately prior to accepting her position at Wistar, Dr. Steinman served as a director of the Penn Center for Innovation, Perelman School of Medicine office at the University of Pennsylvania, supporting Penn's Upstart program. Before that, she spent more than 10 years as a technology licensing professional in the Office of Technology Management at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. Dr. Steinman holds a doctorate degree in biomedical sciences from the University of Massachusetts Medical School and an MBA from the university's Eisenberg School of Management. She did her undergraduate work at Baldwin Wallace College, where she earned dual degrees in biology and psychology. Heather, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's our great pleasure.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Charlie.
Sure.
What first attracted you to the field of life sciences?
You're jumping in. I would like to say that I overheard your discussion about healthcare and IT.
Mm-hmm.
I really need to emphasize the importance of life sciences in the Philadelphia region.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's brought me here. That's why I love working at Wistar. That's why I love being at the interface of science and business. So I really hope we can kind of get that discussion back on track for the importance of basic science discovery in life sciences. But since you asked me the question of how did I get into it, I'll take you back another 18 years. So when I was in grad school, there was an opportunity for me to apply for a job in the tech transfer office. Job, I had no idea what it was all about, or the library, and I'm not a very patient individual, and I like to take on challenging tasks. So I took the job in the tech transfer office. So it was a very unique experience. It was a small office. There were 10 of us. I was the single intern. I had to learn from everybody around me. And what I got out of that challenging experience was the complexity of science, intellectual property, being able to translate science discoveries into products that our partners need so we can distribute meaningful, impactful healthcare-related products to people. It's a long process, as you had mentioned earlier. So I learned a lot about that, and I still really wanted to be in the lab. But there's something very important about being able to work with researchers that are teaching you how to be a scientist, to share what you're learning through your business experience, to be able to make them broaden their views about the world and how their discoveries can be applied even on a broader basis. So that's really where I committed to knowing that as much as my whole life is about science and being able to benefit and for society to benefit from science, really if you can't translate that science into business, there's no way that we'll all win. So that's really what brings me here today. I'm very passionate about what I do.
What aspects of your duties, whether at UMass or at Penn or now at Wistar, have been the most challenging for you?
It's the technology. It's also the most exciting piece of it because life science discoveries take a long time. They're very risky. It's a challenge because you don't know if your discoveries ultimately will be able to be translated into products. So if you don't have the resources and you don't have the good partners at the table working with you, it's going to be very challenging to see those discoveries be applied. So I would say that given also the inefficiencies in the system across the tech transfer space for the most part, It's challenging to get intellectual property licensed to your partners. Less than 5% of all academic discoveries get licensed. So we need to do a little bit better. So I would say being able to foster interaction between tech transfer folks and the scientists to make sure that it's a very meaningful relationship with trust and openness to be able to help make introductions to industry partners. That's key. That needs to be fixed. And 2, resources. We need resources not only from funding, from government funding to help advance our scientific discoveries, but we need to ensure that our partners know that we're here to help them. So that's part of our mission as well, not only advancing science, but helping our partners access that science on a broader basis so we can create companies and create opportunities and products for people ultimately. So we have to play an active role in that.
There are a number of really terrific programs at Wistar that we're going to be talking about in more detail a little bit later in the show. I was wondering whether there are any particular programs that you were responsible for and that you're particularly proud of.
Oh, I'd be more than happy to elaborate on that. Perhaps I should talk a little bit about Wistar?
Be great.
All right, that's great. So for those that are unaware, the Wistar Institute is the nation's very first biomedical research institute. So I'm proud and happy to announce it's our 125th anniversary this year.
Wow.
It's great. We're a
Congratulations.
nonprofit. Thank you very much. We're a nonprofit organization. We've been around for a long time. Our sole mission is all about biomedical research. So we're very proud of that. We have 32 labs. We're strong. We have a brand new research tower. We're really focused on not only therapies, but also new diagnostic development. We're really the engine of science discovery. So that's all we do. We don't have clinical duties. We don't have competing interests. We're not a degree-granting institution. We're really all about biomedical life sciences. So it's a special place. And we're also an NCI-designated cancer center, so a very special accomplishment. We're 1 in 7 out of the entire country that just does basic science. So,
Wow.
And it's sitting here in Philadelphia. We are known throughout the world because we have a lot of licensing partners. Part of Wistar's history, which makes us a little unique, is that a lot of the original discoveries, such as the rubella vaccine, the rabies vaccine, even the rotavirus vaccine, of course in collaboration with our partners CHOP and Merck. We have a lot of partners that are helping us get our core discoveries in infectious disease and vaccine technology, as well as our monoclonal antibody technologies out there to the marketplace. So strong tradition of technology translation, commercialization, discovery, and we're very excited for this next phase in Wistar's history because we've undergone a massive transformation over the past 2 years with new leadership, with new science, with a focus on personalized immunotherapy and vaccine platforms. It's an exciting era, and we're really happy to be part of the Philadelphia community.
And for those viewers who may have heard of Wistar but may not know exactly where it is, where are you physically located?
We're physically located on our own parcel of land at 36th and Spruce Street.
Wow. Okay.
So we've been there for a very long time. As I mentioned earlier, it's our 125th anniversary, everybody.
Same location?
Same
the whole time?
location.
Wow.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. So how does your business development interface with the Wistar Science Enterprise?
It's a key part. So we're small, and as I mentioned, we're also very nimble. And because we're focused solely on science, our business development team has the luxury of being sitting right at the hub and the interface of all the scientist discoveries. So we get to see what's coming out of the labs in real time, which really gives us a unique advantage because we're understanding how data in real time, even before it gets published, before it gets out there in the public domain through publications and manuscripts and presentations, we get to see it all. And as we look at it from the perspective of how would our startup or our biotech or our pharma partners be able to benefit from this knowledge? How can they work with us to be able to advance those discoveries? And since our business development team sits smack dab in the middle of all of it, we can help connect our partners with our scientists as we're creating the discoveries. So we're not a very red tape heavy organization. We are very lean and organized and focused on being able to translate not only the science, but how do we best engage and be efficient at bringing in our partners and being a really strong advocate for the startup and life sciences ecosystem here in Philadelphia. So that's what we do. So we make decisions as to how to best protect intellectual property, how best to shape new collaborations, how best to build up more infrastructure, virtually or literally, in order to really make sure that we're creating and helping mobilize our innovative discoveries.
Is it a two-way street, meaning will scientists come to you saying, I'd like to have your help in moving this technology potentially to market, or is it more you are pulling, saying, Kimon, you're a great scientist, and we really think that there'd be good application in the marketplace for what you're working on, and we should get this out of the lab?
I think it's a great question because we are a little different. So I've seen smaller organizations, I've seen larger organizations. I think every organization has its pros and cons. Every place is unique. But what I do feel that at Wistar, we're totally integrated. So it's a two-way street. Everything is based on trust, everything is based on support, and the scientists know that our sole purpose is to support them, their research endeavors, and not only that, but to help our partners. So we leave it up to them. We essentially give them options of partners they can work with. We would never tell one of our scientists that they have to work with a particular partner. If you don't have good relationships and strong collaboration between the scientists internally and externally, you're never going to get anywhere. So it's critical to make sure that you're helping facilitate as opposed to putting obstructions in the process. So I would say it goes both ways. People will routinely stop by. We've offered up to even start labeling our chairs with their names so they know they have a second place to go. We will go to them, and it's just a very fluid, interactive. It almost feels as if it's a startup company coming from a business development perspective. It's great.
I want to ask you about increasing the likelihood of success, but before I do that, and feel free to answer this either specifically for Wistar or you've been part of a couple other organizations, so make it more global. I know that when people pursue academic careers, at some point they're basically told you need to publish. Is that true?
Oh,
and then,
yes.
So at some point, or are we there where people are requiring scientists to push towards commercialization? Are we there? Are we ever going to be there? Or if it's never going to happen, Charlie, because if they don't have something worth going to market, we don't want to force it?
I do think that there's been a ton of change over the past decade. Different organizations respond differently to these pressures, but I do think that, at least from my vantage point, across the region, across the United States, even internationally, people are looking at how they can best incentivize their scientists to ensure that there are other ways to be able to reward. So, for instance, I'm aware of other organizations that may very well include the number of patents that one may get, or the number of products they may get to the market, although I don't think they're quite there yet. But I would say that at Wistar, we already have that environment, and our scientists really think about how they can have a meaningful impact on a worldwide basis. And we've looked at our policies to make sure we have generous personal distribution policies based on any future commercialization. We're looking at ways that we can also help incentivize as it relates to startups, and how can we provide additional support. So we're certainly open to that and feel that it's critical, but I also think that we're fortunate at Wistar because we have that engaged, interactive community of researchers that we essentially customize their interactions with external parties based on their individual needs. And I'm not aware of a lot of organizations that can do that, but we have the time and we have the bandwidth, and we certainly have the desire, because if we're not tapping into their brilliant mind to see what's going on and what's coming down the pipeline, it's going to be very challenging to get new therapies out there for people. So,
Thank you.
but I think the community is certainly embracing a broader perspective. And I guess to add one further thought onto that, since you brought it up, we take that into consideration when we're recruiting our faculty. And as a talking point, we have 4 new additions just this year alone. Our research tower is full, very vibrant, because people
Great.
are coming to a place where they know that they can do their science, focus on their science, not kind of be distracted by these other things, but also be incentivized with all of the support that business development can give them. So we're part of the interview process. It's really, truly an institutional outlook, but all based on science.
It's great. Sounds like you have a great team there.
I do. Very
Talk
lucky.
for a minute. Share with our viewers, Heather, so how is Wistar doing in terms of increasing the likelihood that success in commercialization, or I should say success in externalizing academic discoveries?
Got it. Well, we're doing things on multiple levels. Within Wistar itself, I mentioned our business development team interfaces in real time with the scientists to make sure that we're on top of all the discoveries that are coming out, so we can make strategic decisions that are aligned with the highest quality of intellectual property protection. We don't want to be filing on things that we don't have to. We don't want to be filing patents just so people can get that on their CV. We really want to make sure that what we're filing on ultimately can be translated and will be useful to not only our startup but our other partners. So that's where we embrace this philosophy of engaging partners as early in the process as possible to line up those interests. Right from the get-go, you'll have your partner by your side helping provide that expertise, the guidance from an industry perspective, and you'll have the scientist that wants to learn from that but not be like that, being able to share and help translate. So it helps with the actual tech transfer part of the equation, but it also helps with the relationship building. So we certainly take pride in being able to not produce quantity, but quality. We're very mindful of that, because we think in the end, if we're making the right, it's still an investment. Anytime you file on a patent application, that if you make the right investment decisions from Wistar's perspective, our partners will realize that as well, and it might save time later on down the road, because then you don't have to filter through things that may not be worth an entrepreneur's time or may not be worth a partner's time. We show everyone exactly what we have, where we're at, what stage it is, and we've also taken steps on our business development site to outline specifically what stage of development we're at, what we're anticipating, and based on external feedback, what some of the challenges are. Realistically, what are our next milestones? So I think that's where we've played an active role. The second piece is, as we had talked about before, it's really hard, takes a long time, very challenging, risky life science discoveries. If you don't have funding support to help those discoveries get to proof of concept, no one's going to want them either. So we've just recently launched the Wistar Science Discovery Fund. It's a philanthropic fund which relies upon being able to not only guide donor decisions as to where they feel their specific contributions can be applied, but they're to the technologies that our business development group needs. So we've been able to collaborate internally because we're a smaller, nimble organization. So as an example, our institutional advancement group is headed up also by a scientist, by the way, Dr. Anita Pepper, so she understands the science coming out of the labs as well. And we will collaborate to identify which research projects certainly have a near-term 6-month, 12-month window over the next 5 years, that there's set milestones. What can we do with a little bit of a donation to move the technology forward? And also in collaboration with our communications director, Tara, and her team, phenomenal group. We all work seamlessly together. We're looking at the ways of being able to explain some of the unmet needs and the challenges with therapeutics and diagnostics, but what we're doing to play an active role in being able to move those forward, because ultimately we want to be able to show that we've been able to match those discoveries with contributions that are meaningful to folks and foundations, et cetera.
I did want to.
Oh, sure.
We're running a little short on time, so I wanted to
Oh.
ask you one more question that I was hoping we could get to, and I don't know whether we'll be able to do it or not. But so you've been focusing on the collaboration internally at Wistar. If we can just broaden that a little bit, the Philadelphia region is very rich in resources in the life sciences area, but there's not a lot. There hasn't been over the years a lot of collaboration between a lot of those resources for the betterment of the industry and for the region generally. If you could talk a little bit about what Wistar is doing to help break down those silos and foster collaboration
It's a
among.
perfect segue. Thanks for asking that.
Sure.
I appreciate it. So in terms of being able to move individual discoveries all the way through to proof of concept and externalization for technology commercialization that we just kind of talked about, what we've done is looked at the broader impact. How can we bring scientists together? So we now, through Wistar, just being an independent location, gathering place for the community, we have a monthly event called the Philadelphia Drug Discovery Forum. And it's a collaborative that involves participants from all of the regional institutions that are doing life sciences research, but also our pharma partners, our biotech partners, startup partners, all about the science. So it's a grassroots scientist to scientist exchange. So we've been able to launch that. It's been wonderful because it creates engagement. It creates cross-fertilization, sharing of knowledge that's key to the advancement of discoveries. On top of that, we've now built the Drug Discovery Chat, which is a very informal...
We only have about 30 seconds. I'm sorry.
Oh, my goodness.
So I tell you that, so if you could...
Philadelphia
We're gonna have to-
Research
we're gonna have to have you
Consortium.
back.
We are gonna have to have you
Fantastic.
back.
Oh, I'm so disappointed.
No,
Yes, Wistar is doing an awful lot to be able to break down all the silos, to pull all of the tech transfer groups together as well. You'll be hearing about the launch of the Philadelphia Research Consortium, which is really aimed at coming together to simplify the process for startup companies and other companies to be able to access any of the research institutes using a simple universal contractual instrument. So stay tuned. You'll hear more about that, as well as what we're doing to be able to really create more collaboration so we can develop high-quality assets that are going to be attractive to the startups, to let investors come back to Philly and realize that this is truly a very critical biotech hub. It is key that we all play that active role, that Life Sciences PA, all their kind work, BioStrategy Partners, lots of great organizations that are here and committed to the cause. But it's all part of a wonderful endeavor for us to pursue.
You do a great job of bringing all those organizations together. I know Kimon's got to close the show out. Give our viewers the website for where they can find more information on Wistar.
Sure, it's wistar.org/business development.
Great.
Well, thank you. You were a terrific guest. We do have to have you back another time because there's a ton of other things that we would have liked to have covered.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it,
My
gentlemen.
thanks to Dr. Heather Steinman for being our special guest this evening, and to Charlie Huntington for co-hosting. The next guest on Money Matters TV will be Nick Izzy. Nick's a CPA, and he's going to be talking about something very topical, your taxes. Money Matters TV is available on iTunes, as a podcast on iTunes and on Stitcher Radio, also on our website and on YouTube. Thanks for watching this evening, and we'll see you again next time.